So, Barcelona are out of the Champions League, knocked out at the Metropolitano by Atletico de Madrid. And that is the third time that Atletico Madrid have knocked Barcelona out of the Champions League in the quarterfinals. Unfortunately, it's happened three times, and we've played them three times in the Champions League. So, it looks like they are our kryptonite in the quarterfinals. And where do we even go from here? I mean, once again, I should say that Barcelona did not play badly. I mean, the game itself, from a neutral point of view, was entertaining. It was fun. Both teams went at it, trying to impose themselves on it. Barca obviously looking to come back, and it genuinely looked like we could do it. In fact, we did come back. We scored two goals in the first half, only to concede. And the moment we conceded, I mean, it was pretty much game over, because it's one thing to concede. It's the manner in which we concede. How many times are we going to concede the same goals, the same pattern of goals, the same kind of goals over and over and over again? We've been conceding such goals. All it takes is a pass to the middle, to a fast run on the wing, a cross in the box for a tapping. Everyone does that. We've been exposed time and time and time again. It started with Bayern Munich last season, with Harry Kane scoring those goals. With He scored those goals, and only one of them counted because the other was an offside. And since then, Barca have had all. Oh my god, the way it's gone. I mean, against Dortmund last season, we were 4-0 up after the first leg, and we almost threw the entire tie away in the second leg. Remember, at the yellow wall, Dortmund kept breaching the high line over and over and over again. And understand this: that Bayern Munich, I mean, they had pretty much all of the players. They had Kimmich, they had Alfonso Davies, they had Manu Neuer, they had Serge Gnabry. They had all these players who had worked with Flick before, who understood how he played, and of course they would know how to beat him. Obviously, it didn't work because Barca were. I mean, they were just far superior to Bayern Munich. But against Dortmund, you understand that Hansi Flick was coach of Bayern. He used to be coach of Bayern Munich, and who were Bayern Munich's closest competitors? The closest competition was Dortmund, and of course they used to Hansi Flick, and it was they who exposed him time and time again in the second leg at the Yellow Wall. And since then, everything's been watching. Everything's been observing. I mean, Inter Milan observed, PSG observed, everyone observed, and Atletico too have observed. And it's very easy to score against Barcelona. The blueprint is out there. Everyone just simply has to do the same thing: get the ball, pass through them to the middle. I mean, even if you don't necessarily have to go through the middle. Just time your run perfectly on the wings, because Barca will always push super high to maintain a crazy high line. And all you have to do is beat it. You time your run, you time your pass, and suddenly you're behind. And when you're behind, your striker who was offside, the runner overtakes the striker, and the striker is no longer offside. And all it takes is one cross, and there's a tapping. It worked against Newcastle. I mean, even Newcastle did it. I mean, it's been happening over and over again. And when you have defenders, fullbacks who cannot defend, like Cancelo, who was half-hearted in his pursuit of Llorente, who let Llorente run by him and didn't strike back. I mean, you're just wide open. It's always going to be a goal. And Barca have put themselves in these situations yet again. Again, the game it was a very entertaining game with the way Barcelona played, and Lamine Yamal was good, to be honest. I thought Gavi looked good. I thought Pedri, though, was jaded. Again, was it really wise? Was it wise for Hansi Flick to play Pedri and Lamine Yamal for the full 90 against Espanyol? Pedri looked tired all night, and I can't blame him. I mean, it's not just a highlight anymore. And you should understand that the eye line itself, it's incredibly difficult to maintain because not only do you have to hold the high line, but the effort it takes to actually keep it completely functional for the full 90 every single game, it is draining physically. It is physically draining. It's exhausting to have to, it takes a lot out of the players. It's extremely demanding, really tough. And when you know that your style of play is that tough, you should do something about your players. You should rest the key players that you need to actually perform in the big moments, in the big games. And Hansi Flick keeps using them. Last season, we had players like Lamine Yamal, like Pedri, like Inigo Martinez when he was here, Pau Kubasi, playing over 4,000 minutes. And the thing is, we had options on the bench. We had Ansu Fati on the bench. I know that he was struggling physically, but Ansu Fati still. Last season he still played. When he played against Mallorca, I thought he looked great. To be honest, Ansu Fati, Paul Victor, who was, heading into last season, he was incredible in pre-season, and Ansu Fati simply cast him aside. So we have Ansu Fati, Paul Victor, Pablo Torre, who I don't understand why he was not trusted. And then we have Hector Fort, players who could have come in and relieved our starters, and they never played. They never played. Well, they did, but they never really played. Hansi Flick never really trusted them, and then he overused his key players. And against Inter Milan, they looked jaded. In the first leg, they had all the ball, but they didn't control it. They couldn't control the game. And now what happens is that because they're all tired, we see the same pattern again this season. We saw it last night. Barça, they had over 70% of the ball. They had possession, but they couldn't, because of the high line and the fact that the players were exhausted, they couldn't manage the spaces, so they were never truly in control. And it always looked like Atletico Madrid were going to score. As a result of that, we are out. Because when you stick to just one plan, it's okay, it's fine, you can stick to it in La Liga. But in the Champions League, against the elites, against those who have prepared, who are at a very top level, we're talking about teams now, the greatest, the biggest teams, the best teams in the world. If you stick to that same plan, even after it's been found out, you will be punished. You'll get punished. And Barcelona, unfortunately, find themselves out of the Champions League rather prematurely. For the talent we have, I think Hansi Flick has to take a lot of blame here. But not just him. I should say that Joan Laporta is incredibly lucky that the election took place as early as it did. Otherwise, because ideally the election takes place after the season, imagine what would happen. Because he never truly backed Hansi Flick. And let's be real though, even if he backed Hansi Flick with Bastoni, we had Araujo, even if he backed Hansi Flick with the fastest defenders, playing that high line is still not sustainable. Because you're essentially relying on your forwarders, your strikers to outscore your opponents, and that isn't always possible. That cannot always happen. You simply have to manage moments. You simply have to know when to drop off a little bit, and when you have the ball, you can't just be wide open. You can't just play gongo football every single day, every single time. And no one can press forever. We have a lot of pressers like Fermin Lopez, players who give intensity, maximum intensity and commitment, like Gavi. But it's a big ask, even for those kind of players. Even if it was Franco Baresi, Maldini, Roberto Carlos, Cafu, even they couldn't have defended with that high line. And you might say, but Bayern did. But understand that heading into Bayern, it was a very different season because of the COVID. And Bayern Munich, the games which, for them, they excelled because the games suddenly became one-legged. The ties became one-legged, and there was a lot of time off. And that time off allowed Bayern Munich, the players to recover the energy levels that they'd lost. And when they returned, it was like a new season basically, and they were still in top form, and it destroyed everyone. Obviously, famously beating Barcelona 8-2. So that high line, it is not sustainable at this level. If you want to win the Champions League, you have to know how to adapt. You have to know how to adapt to the competition, to the opponent you come across. And Hansi Flick has failed to do that, and we are out as a result. Now Barca will look to win the La Liga, but really we had the chance to win the Champions League. So yes, this season, in a sense, it's still a success. It's well, if we can win La Liga, it would still be a success. But I don't think that Hansi Flick is the man to lead Barcelona to the Champions League because it will not change the style. It will not change. He will play the way he's always played, and it will always cost Barcelona, unfortunately. So maybe it is time to look for a new manager, but we'll see at the end of the season. I for once, would like us to return to what we used to do. I mean, look at Luis Enrique. He's employed what we used to do. He's employed positional play. He's employed the Barca identity, the Barca way. He's employed at PSG, and he succeeds with it. Pep employed it at Manchester City, and he succeeded with it. He still succeeds with it. He might yet win the Premier League with it. So why do we go away from what we've been doing correctly? Why do we not? I mean, we have. I don't even know what to say, but I think Barca really need to make changes, and Hansi Flick has to adapt his style. If he doesn't adapt his style, we will not win anything. And we have a young core of players, a young core of supremely talented footballers who want to win it all, who want to win the Champions League, and we have to help them. You can't keep putting them, in disadvantageous situation, right? They can't keep being in such disadvantageous situation. It doesn't help them, and it doesn't help the club. It doesn't work for the confidence, and Hansi Flick has to realize this. And I hope that the right course of actions will be taken. And yeah, so yeah, that's just my thought. Those are just my thoughts actually on this game, and I'll see you next time. Thank you